Got the engine height, I think pretty darn ideal there. It wanted to cavitate just a little bit on acceleration, so maybe put some fins on it, that might help. But otherwise, that test run was pretty awesome. It was just the battery and the gas tank in the back. My brother-in-law in the front, he weighs about 170 pounds. So once we get the floor in, the front deck, a battery up front, the anchor on the front, hopefully that'll help, because I pretty much wanted to just boat wheelie when it was just me. So that's the scoop. I'm really happy. We hit 26 mile an hour with the two of us in the boat. So I'm hoping we can still be mid-20s with gear and everything come fishing season. Now it's time to get everything finished inside, the floors, the hatches in the back, carpet and the tackle trays, front deck, anchor winch, and trolling motor. It's coming along though. I have one big sheet right here is covered with this fishing vinyl. It's a Merideck product, I believe. I ordered it off of a website, but this is stuck down with solvent-based adhesive, something you have to do when you're working with vinyl products on aluminum, because neither of them breathe. So the solvent is in there to keep the glue apart, but what you do is apply it to both surfaces and then stick them together and they're good to go. So we're actually gonna do the same thing to these hatches in the back. This would work for anything you're doing at home too, if you're redoing a bass boat, aluminum fishing boat, where you have doors and hatches. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time trying to make these perfect, but you can use this same, I'm using some spray adhesive. You can wrap corners, you can do all sorts of stuff and make stuff look really pretty. I just want the tops covered, and then I'm gonna leave the edges open. It doesn't really bother me in this case. So I've got my roll of vinyl. I'm gonna lay this out, and I can lay all three of my pieces I need to cover. There's another one over there. And then I can trace them out and get to spraying on the adhesive. I lay them on there, I wiped them all down with acetone, and I left some extra space up here and around because we are gonna wrap the corner on the front on this one, and then on these, I need to wrap and cover that lip as well. So I'm just gonna trace them out. That way I know where to spray my adhesive onto the vinyl, and then all I gotta do is spray the other side of the aluminum, and then we'll stick them together. I am gonna cut this and just get rid of the rest of my roll for now. I'm gonna use that to cover the piece that will go in the front deck here. So this is what I'm using. It's a 3M high strength 90 contact adhesive, solvent-based adhesive, and super flammable, real stinky. Make sure you're well ventilated and nothing can spark or anything around you. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna spray this on both surfaces. It says it has a 1 to 10 minute bonding time, but what we're gonna do is spray it on. We just wanna make sure there's no wet spots. So it should feel tacky just a little bit to my finger, almost dry, maybe a little tacky. And then I'll stick the two things together and we'll cut in between, flip them over, make sure there's no wrinkles, just work it out real quick. But that is how we're gonna stick it on. So I apply my adhesive to the aluminum and the vinyl. I like to start with the aluminum first because that tends to sit on top and takes a little longer for the solvent to evaporate. And then we'll hit the vinyl, and then I'll wait about a minute, make sure there's no wet spots, make sure it's starting to get a little tacky, and then we can stick them together. And now that it's been a minute or two, it's nice and tacky. Vinyl's nice and tacky. I'm gonna stick them together. If there's one takeaway with using this type of adhesive, it's wait longer than you think. It can darn near be dry and still stick together really, really well. So don't be in a hurry. Let the solvent evaporate out. Shouldn't be wet at all. It'll stick together better that way. I always recommend experiment a little bit with it. Get a couple scrap pieces of vinyl, scrap pieces of aluminum, and see how long you can spray them and leave them. give it a good thick coat, spray it and leave it, feel how it feels dry-wise, and then stick them together. I bet you'll be surprised how long you can wait. It's been a while since I've had time to work on this 12-foot jet boat, but time has finally come, and I am gonna finish it up in the next day or two. Got a week or two here in between pontoon jobs, and it's time to finish this and then start the big boat build, so stay tuned for that video series. But what I gotta do here, I've got the main floor already done. I need to cut, got it already pre-cut, but I need to cut out the curve in here and then get vinyl on it. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and run the rest of my electrical for my navigation lights and for my headlights or docking lights. And then we'll get the anchor winch mounted up. I'm gonna weld up a tower. So on riverboats like this in Michigan, we weld up a tower that goes out with a pulley wheel on the front, and that'll mount right, the anchor winch, the Minn Kota will mount right to that, and that gives me something I can see when my anchor comes up, keeps it out of the water when I'm driving. That's just the system that we use here. Let's get to work on this. We've got the vinyl floor in. It's not fastened yet. Gonna do a whole bunch of rivets, I think, but it's sturdier than I thought it would even be. Hatches are in. Only downfall is the deep cycle. It's a builder's error. Doesn't fit underneath the deck. It fits, but it's like a 1/4 inch. I gotta decide pretty quick here if I wanna put it underneath there. I would just have to cover the terminals so the aluminum can never touch it. It'd be a real snug fit. That's what I don't like about it. Otherwise, it'll just sit up on the deck right here. You know, the trolling motor is going to come through here anyway, and the clear spot to step on the boat is going to be on that side anyhow. So it wouldn't be the end of the world, and it would move the weight up front a little bit more too. So that's where we're at. Hoping to wrap this thing up in the next day or two here. The boat has made its way into the middle of our shop, which means it's close to being finished. Got the back deck vinyled and in. Those are hatches, they flip up. Probably just gonna do a pull pin stainless steel that goes in the front because there's a bit of a gap there, and a latch will be kind of goofy to fit up. So I think that's what we're gonna do, just a 1/4 inch pull pin, keep them from flying open when I'm driving down the highway. Main floor is laid in there. Gonna drill and rivet all the way, probably like in the front we'll do rivets, and then probably every 12 inches or so. If you don't, there's gonna be a lot of rattling, and I don't want that. There is the pink, you can see the sheets over there. Closed cell foam from Home Depot is cut and laid in, so it's actually 1.5 inch foam. My stringers underneath there are 1.5 inch, so that works really well. That's gonna dampen the noise, and it gives some reinforcement to this 100 thousandths aluminum floor. Same thing in the front. However, in the front, because we've got this big cavity here, what I did is laid foam underneath and then did this extra just scrap sheeting that I had. And that goes up in there pretty far, so life jackets and whatnot can fit in. Right now, I'm getting the anchor winch. It's got a Minn Kota deckhand 40. Getting that mounted. Show you this real quick. So we're gonna mount this on this anchor tower, and this will be bolted to the front of the boat, and it just gets that anchor out away from the bow and allows you to see it as it's going up and down. Really common for us in Michigan to run this sort of tower with a winch. This one's a light duty winch. The big boat I'm building will have a heavy duty, pulls easily 100 pounds of anchor. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna keep working. Johnny's gonna run that top rivet in. This is just a Harbor Freight rivet gun. Pull it once to suck it in, hit it again, and that pulls that stem right out. So we're gonna go ahead and run them all the way along the back here, and then we'll work our way forward, secure this thing down. Got a lot done today. It's 99%. We got the anchor, winch, and tower installed. Headlights for running up the river first thing in the morning. Did decide the trolling motor battery will go here, and all of our wiring, just got to tie this up, put some conduit over it, is going to run down through a grommet under the deck. The switch panel will be on this side underneath, just tucked in there a little bit. We got the floors riveted down, a whole bunch of rivets, just pop rivets with a pneumatic gun. Goes fairly quick, just drill and rivet. Johnny was here helping out, so that sped it up. And got the fish finder in mounted, ran the wire to power the switch panel, so that's all there. Just gotta basically put the switch panel in, tie up some wiring in the front, and then tie up our wiring underneath, and glue in carpet for the tackle trays, and then it is done. Hopefully pretty quick here. We will be going through the first test run up the river. That is a wrap on the build. Just gotta clean it out, and then let's take it to the water. Got the nightlight switch panel installed. So that's our navigation lights, a running light in the back, front navigation LEDs, our headlights, very bright LED spotlights in front. And I think these are gonna be really cool. These are those LEDs from Nightlight, just lighting up the floor of the boat. There's 3 on each side, but when you're up on top, you won't see the light directly. They're all nice and concealed. And that last switch powers on all those chargers and the volt gauge.
If you're wondering why I wear these, it's so I can't hear Tom.
Let's take this for a boat ride.
What? Are you gonna keep going?
I wasn't gonna go much farther. Do you want to?
Kinda wanna see what happens.
Okay. Whoops!
We got logged.
Got a little stuck.
We got logged in our front.
Stay, Rip. Corey's gonna save us.
It's nice and chilly.
Yeah, the water's only actually, it's like very cold.
Okay. Oh, we left some paint.
Oh, we left some paint on the log.
There, we left our mark. Right there. Oh boy. That's a big log.
It happens. I did a little stump jumping right there. So if you're not familiar with an outboard jet, we've talked about it a little bit, but you can go over stuff, but not quite like a mud motor. The motor in this one, we went over it, and then the motor just kicked up for a second. So not the end of the world, but as long as the bottom of your boat stays in one piece. Still not leaking at all though, so we couldn't have done too much damage.
Stupid. He's not gonna come pick me up. He said, hey Corey, jump out. Get a video of me running the boat. Here I sit. Oh, thanks for picking me up, guys. I was nervous you weren't coming back.
I get that.
You get that?